All right, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Two Plus podcast. We are here with another list reveal and analysis ahead of the next tournament we are all going to, the next installment of the Oldhammer series, this time 1,750 points with the Throne of Skulls comp. So 25% on characters, one level three, um, and now I'm drawing a blank on the rest, but that's basically what matters.
Basically, yeah.
Um, so we've got 28 of the 30 lists here. I think we're still missing two, but they should be coming in later. But we thought we'd press on here and just break down some of the lists. We'll try and whip through them a bit quicker this time around, but still, there's what stands out as a whole, I think, is that every faction except vampire counts is featured in this 28 player list, which is a great sign, I think, for the old world and for Oldhammer, which is
For sure.
really a high standard tournament from my limited experience. But you guys and Alex have said the same. So we'll kick things off here, though. Alex and Alasdair joining us again, but I'll throw this one to Alasdair. Adam running his Bratonia again. I'll just quickly run through it, Alasdair, and then you can tell me how it works. He's got his Duke on a royal peg, Heartwood Lance, Virtue of the Knightly Temper, Baron on a hippogriff with the great helm, Virtue of Heroism, and then a Paladin as a BSB on a royal peg, 6 Knights of the Realm, 14 Peasant Bowmen, 10 Peasant Bowmen, 6 Mounted Knights of the Realm, 3 Peg Knights, and 4 Peg Knights with the Banner of Shalons, both at full command. Alistair, what's your hot take? We've seen Adam before, but what do you think of his list? What's it trying to do?
That's all right. Good to see Adam back, and good to see him hyping his Bretonians a little bit more. A Duke, a Baron, and a Paladin this time around.
No magic.
Still shunning magic, but I feel like he's got the real feel for the Pegasus flying circuses now. The big difference I feel this time around is that Hippogriff Baron.
Yeah.
Very different from the Pegasi because it can't join the units. It's totally going to be a unique on its own character. Mind you, it's a 2+ armor save and it's re-rolling ones. So, there's some things about that people are really going to be caught off guard doing. Otherwise, I do think this is fairly summed up by, he's going to be leaning hard into those Pegasus Knights, the Banner of Shalon on the big units, and then the little unit just to make sure that it's out there, it's harassing. The great thing about it is he can split those characters out. They don't have to be in the units. Having the 5+ ward save from the get-go means that he's quite well protected. We all know how strong Pegasus units are at this point. So, Adam's looking for some real quick games one way or another with this list. But it's exciting to see a little bit of difference in those characters.
I feel
Banner of
like the
Shalons.
hippogriff.
Sorry,
By the
you
way,
guys.
the hippogriff, I feel like was more a hobbyist choice. I have a memory of him converting one up and posting it
Yes.
in the chat. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
maybe he's got it painted and he's like, I've got to use it now.
And the Banner of Shalons, is that the can't stand and shoot against it?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, cool. So obviously this one, Bratonia, as a Wood Elf player, Bratonia is about as hated as Wood Elves at the moment, and this would be a pretty strong list. I mean, 7 pegs plus 3 characters. It's going to be a beast, I think. Adam, well, no doubt we're keen to wreck some face with that. Alex, though, this is your Wolves of the Sea, your third tournament iteration of this, I think.
Yep.
Why don't you
Yes, it
run me
is.
through it as it's yours?
Yep. So after the disaster of last event, the warm-up event, a couple of big changes had to occur. First of all, bringing back the magic. I still think no magic is possible, aka Adam running with no magic. Paul Grixty had no magic at the last event, didn't really affect him. Bretonians do it well. Dwarves, of course, do it very well. Chaos Dwarves have a little thing in their back pocket for it. But Chaos, yep, we need it. So Sorcerer Lord, it's effectively a level 4 with Marcus Inch. Going Lore Familiar this time, not Infernal Puppet. which is an interesting choice and drawing some criticism from others. An exalted champion with an ogre blade to basically be on his demonic mount, sit in the dragon ogres, or go in the skinwolf units depending on what he needs to. Another point that Alistair and I have come up with over the past couple of weeks is I feel the strength of lone demonic mounted skirmishing characters, whether it's a demonic mount, a hippogriff, or anything like that. I think we're going to see a lot more of that going forward because the power of being able to split them out of the unit, whether it's turn 2, turn 3, and chase something down with an ogre blade, is pretty powerful on there. So the standard chaff units here: 3 Chaos Warhounds, love them, cheap chaff. 5 Marauder Horsemen just to get in the way of people. 10 Marauder Horse for the Zinch block, which will be providing that +1. 2 scoring units, 1 in skirmish formation, so that they can have some added mobility. 2 units of 4 skin wolves, dragon ogres, and a giant spawn of Nurgle.
So my hot take is that Infernal Puppet is a must take. So I'm really surprised by this. I think it's probably the best item in the game, and is probably credited for why Warriors of Chaos, of course, outside of their ginormous dragon, do so well. I think it's like the most suffocating arcane item in the game for sure, and I run Oaken Stave. Um, I'm surprised to see you take it out.
Yeah, I'll tell you the logic. In the games that I've taken it against yourself, Alistair, even at the tournament, I think it's been in effect about 5 spells over 9 to 12 games. And
I
that's
think
because that people can fly out of range of it, blast with magic missiles, etc.
it's
So
it's such a
it has
strong
its uses.
deterrent. It's
Yeah.
such a strong deterrent that you don't even go near it, even when you might otherwise facing down just a regular dispel. So you stay out of range, you duck out, you do your magic missiles, you do everything else. You just don't go in with it. I think you're more likely to get dispel attempts now with a level 3 with no Infernal Puppet, which at least gives you a little bit of power in defense. But yeah, I don't disagree with your choice to take it away there. Having played this list already, there's a lot of fun to it, and I think there's going to be lots of things, as we posted in the chat the other night. There's going to be lots of interesting sort of ways of approaching open order and skirmish models that might make your life easier and everybody else's life just that little bit more difficult. But I think you're going to see more success now that you've stopped leaning so heavily into skin wolves, which you've demonstrated are great, but maybe not as great as everyone made them out to be.
Yeah, and the key with Paddy, I wholeheartedly agree that Infernal Puppet is critical unless you're playing Skin Wolves, and that's where I believe Arcane Urgency becomes more critical than a Dispel attempt with the Skin Wolves, because if the Skin Wolves get charged by the wrong unit or they can't get into combat, oh, it's terrible. And believe me, I know. I know.
And I was on the receiving end of your turn 1 arcane urgency at the first Oldhammer that I went to, and it's brutal. So I totally understand why you want that spell. Let's move on to Andrew from Old World Fanatics fame.
Yep.
He is one of 3 Chaos Dwarf players in this tournament, I believe. So they're making a real resurgence at the moment. He is running a Black Orc War Boss, full plate on a Wyvern, with a great weapon, Enchanted Shield, Trollhide Trousers, Effigy of Mork, so -1 to hit in combat, I think. And then a Sorcerer Prophet, heavy armor on a Bale Taurus, level 3, Dark Magic, Sword of Might, Mantle of Stone, Talisman of Protection. Then a unit of Black Orcs, which is 13 of them using Motley Crew. I believe it's 13, yeah. And then 2 units of Hobgoblin Cutthroats with full command, a unit of Infernal Guard because you have to, Deathreaker rocket launcher, and an Iron Demon. We were talking about this list today because I've never played against Chaos Dwarves, and I'm trying to learn about them before I inevitably play one of them at this tournament, I presume, given that 10% of the field is them. So this list is about as tough as it gets in terms of toughness. That is what I can see into this. Like, if you are a combat army and you have no way of dealing with, like, doing a lot of damage to toughness 6, and you're already hitting on three fours, then you are going to struggle massively against this list. Another thing to point out with the tournament comp, standard bearers are the way to capture objectives. So he's got 3 units of them, which helps with these cutthroats to be a little bit of objective pressure. What I think might be interesting with this list is I think it lacks a little bit of punch, but this is full naivety of not playing against Chaos Dwarves. I know the Iron Demon's a beast, and I know that these characters are strong, but frenzied orcs and defensive stuff like high toughness and -1 to hit, I think really strong, but I struggle to see the huge amount of output, but I'm probably going to get trampled by some hooves come January 18. But
I think the focus will be grind for this
Yep.
list. Like the iron, you've got 3 enormously strong, enormously tough single model units that will just be grinding through against whatever you can throw at them. The Black Orc mob, I feel like, is quite frankly, it's an anchor, and it's also a distraction because the War Boss, the Prophet, and the Iron Demon are going to be doing all of the work.
Totally. Wholeheartedly agree, but good on the Chaos Dwarves making a comeback. Move on to Cameron, who's running Warriors of Chaos. He was at the recent 2+ tournament as well, which is a warm-up for this. And he tested pretty much this list, I think, 2 gigantic sports.
I think it's the same.
Yeah.
It's not quite the same. It's slightly different. The difference, just to, I suppose, I'll run through it, Paddy.
Yeah, you
so
go.
he's got a big Chaos Lord on a Manticore with Ogre Blade and Enchanting Aura. So he's causing you to strike last, and he's doing a heck of a lot of damage with that Chaos Lord. A level 3 Sorcerer Lord with Infernal Puppet himself on a Chaos Chariot. That's proved quite strong in his last round of games in the tournament as well. It's a very strong combat unit in addition to being that sort of obnoxious sorcerer lord that we're all familiar with. His core is relatively light. He said it himself. The last tournament was the first tournament he's not taken a unit of Chaos Warriors. So he's got Chaos Knights, Warhounds, Forsaken instead of Chaos Warriors, Marauder Horsemen to round it out. And then he's got a big unit of Dragon Ogres and a single Dragon Shartak, and then a Giant Spawn. He did have in the last tournament a Shaggoth, which was the big difference. So there were some points moved around, but he's obviously decided that the Shartak is probably just as effective as a Shaggoth, and I can't really disagree with him. The Shartaks are very strong on their own for 70 points. This list, I mean, I'd expect him to be totally belligerent with that Chaos Lord to get it in, get it working straight away. It is so strong being able to hit before everything else. And even if you charge it, you suffer because both the Manticore and the Chaos Lord are initiative 5 or higher, and they're going to be hitting against anything that charges it that then gets converted to strikes last. So, it's very strong in terms of being able to put damage out. And then I think he's realistically going to be relying a bit on those special choices more than the core. The Chaos Knights do work, and he's got some scoring, obviously, in there in the Marauder Horsemen, the Chaos Knights themselves. But I think here the heavy lifting will be Dragon Ogres and the Chaos Lord, and obviously the Sorcerer Lord will be doing everything it needs to defend the rest of the list magically, make sure that none of those pesky illusion spells are able to affect the Manticore Lord, and really just enabling that to get in and really go nuts.
Yep, and it's important to point out the sorcerer on a chariot has a 360-degree firing arc for his magic missiles.
Yeah.
And this is this is a great example of Throne of Skulls taking effect.
Yep.
432 is the max of 25% of 1750, and the Sorcerer level 3. So this is basically what you'd expect at Warriors of Chaos, minus a level 4 and minus a dragon. You upgrade those 2 characters, and this is what a lot of people are running. The core maybe looks a bit different, but the nuts and bolts of it are the same. So pretty strong stuff there as well. Chris is
Paddy, just before we get onto this list, and it's important for the ogres, is the Throne of Skulls theme has had that impact because you'll see, and I think people will be surprised by when we go down the list of a couple of missing things that we saw last event, not at this event, and perhaps the big bads are not coming from the factions we think they are.
Mhm.
Maybe I'll take
Well,
this one
yeah, go on then. Do
because I've
tell us
played it a
more.
few times and I've played a lot of ogres. And Alistair, you played this the other day actually
I
as
did.
well, but I'll do it. So there's a butcher here with the cauldron handing out regen, talisman and protection for the ward save, and their demon slaying scars gives him terror,
Mm.
which is a neat little trick on ogres, and upgrading multiple unit champs to have that can be a nice little addition to that. Level two, I think Chris wanted to go a level three in most of his lists, but decided he'd try out the Tyrant. In this case, in talking about him, the Tyrant on a Stonehorn. He has Kin Eater for +1 strength. He's got the Spangle Shard for a 4-up ward save. So this thing is a swift stride, massive behemoth with AP2 impact hits, AP2 attacks from the Stonehorn, a great weapon Tyrant at strength 8. So he can take on the Iron Demons. He can take on any of the high toughness things. I think there's only one thing in the event that this thing will wound on sixes, and it's a 3 foot high uh, character, which we'll get down to on there. Backed up, what we see everywhere in ogres, the Iron Gut Core with the Cannibal Totem that provides them the regen. Another unit of Iron Guts into two. The obligatory Ogre Bulls, the Iron Blaster, which is the cannon on the chariot, which is great. 4 Mournfang with the Bull Standard, which allows them to reroll the wound on their impact hits, which is tremendous because that's where most of their killing power comes from. And 1 single Gorger. And the Gorger surprised me when I was playing a game against Ogres the other day because I always thought they were skirmishers, and they're actually not. They're not. So here I was thinking the frenzy was a downside, but if you control it, it does work out well. So I think the key difference here with what Chris is trying to do to the rest of the ogre scene is a lot of them are just running a big Iron Gut block, right? Because toughness 4, multi-wound, 5 up regen is pretty tough to get through, especially if you've got a terror-causing butcher in there as well.
Yeah, I've never played ogres. I know you guys have because your circle has two ogre players,
Yes,
does it?
both of the ogre players.
Which is
Yeah.
high set, yeah, in Australia, I believe. Because I've never seen them, but I love
Yeah.
the look of them and the idea of them. But moving on, we've got Colin, or better known as Gommo, Old World Fanatics again, showing their presence at this Oldhammer tournament, which is great to see. He is running Orcs and Goblins, and his list has a black Orc Warboss on a Wyvern, great weapon, Trollhide, trousers, and an effigy of Morg, which is a pretty standard running
I think it's the
list.
same as Andrew's,
As
correct?
Andrew, yeah, so
Yeah.
2-up save, 5-up regen, -1 to hit, toughness 6. It's yeah, definitely a tough piece. Level 3 Goblin with Elementalism and the Lore Familiar, Night Goblin Big Boss with Battle Stand Bearer with the War Banner, Great Weapon, Armor of Morg, and Charm Shield. It's got a unit of Black Orcs, 10 of them, and then a big block of Night Goblin archers, 51 of them with 3 fanatics, and the Poison Banner, 5 orc mobs, orc boys, which I presume they come with the arrows for free as well. So I presume that's just a little dart of arrow orcs, a unit of 6 orc boar boys, biggins, with full command and frenzy, the angry
Yep.
lads flag, and then 2 giants, which is awesome. No doubt about that. Giants very much not liked in competitive scenes because of their 6-up only save. They are just pin cushions for poison shooting, unfortunately. But if you've got 2 of them, hard to bring down 2 of them. And they are a meme cannon in combat. They can do some real fun stuff. But a lot of this comes down to this block
Yep.
of 51 Night Goblins with poison, also the BSB and the caster with elementalism. You presume Plague of Rust, TMP, and
Yep.
one of the Orc and Goblin spells -1 toughness, probably. Or plus one to hit, I think is their other one they can get.
And Armor of Mork's minus magic resist 2 as well.
Yeah. So this is what we're seeing currently in a lot of competitive scenes is some sort of, may not call it a Death Star, but big block of souped up infantry because everyone is desperate to play them, and this is about the only way you can do it. They are turning into a massive defensive piece that has big offensive output if you can't deal with them. This sort of block we saw in Espot 2 in Tomb Kings, albeit double of this number, being a terror for large targets with high wounds. But if you can bring down that armor and at 1750 points, it's hard to get that souped up big bad. So these things, if they get close enough, if he gets the combo off, can just evaporate
Yep.
a
Paddy,
dragon or
do you
something.
think the Giants are there to create space for the TMP as an unbreakable toughness 6 monster? Just smash them in there, and then Gomo can teleport away.
Totally. Yeah, they're roadblocks and pincushions. Like if they're killing the giants, sure, it's 200 points each, but if it's buying time for the Night Goblin to do its thing, then their job's done, I think.
I
The
think
rest
it'll
of
be
the
yeah, it'll be
you
really easy for him to keep points away from a determined opponent. So it's travel mystic pathway that teleport is going to be very effective to evade arcs because of course only part of the unit has to be still within that original measurement. So they really realistically can end up teleporting an enormous range. I've had some experience with that with Blackguard, but yeah, I think it's very much Night Goblin avoidance, and then the Black Orc War Boss, the Giants, realistically are there as Alex said, create the space, tie up units that are risking coming close to that mob, and last ditch, 3 fanatics is nothing to sneeze at when you're trying to charge in against a Night Goblin mob. It's totally unpleasant to do so
totally.
over the top of them.
And +6 combat res static, I think, with the BSB
Yeah,
and
yeah,
ranks. Because I think they have Horde, so they can claim 3 ranks.
yes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a big scary block for 1750 points. Moving on to what else? Damien, Alasdair, you want to go through this list?
Yeah, so a bit different for Wood Elves
Very
from what
different.
we've seen before. We've got a woody theme. We've got tree men and we've got dryads and we've got
I
treekin.
love it.
It's fabulous. I love that Damien, sorry, has taken the time to put this unconventional list together, and then hopefully paint and get everything sort of put up. I mean, it's not often that you see treekin in this world of fireballs and flaming pillars. They're super at risk, but at the same time, they're such a strong contender, and it's fabulous to see them back. But when you've got the Tree Man Ancient there for magic defense, and it's quite a defensive one with both netlings and mischiefs, you've got a significant centerpiece for the army to work around. The Glade Riders, the Glade Guard, obviously there to provide that shooting that's so key to a lot of Wood Elf lists. That just irritation. You've got mostly Arcane Bodkins, I think, all through, so it's geared towards dealing with high armor saves. But again, the Dryads, the Branch Wraith, the Tree Man, the Tree Kin, all fabulous to see them being included as such a large part of the list. I think there's some interesting tech that I'm not going to spoil just looking at it right now, that will be super fun to see when that Branch Wraith gets into combat, and with those Great Eagles running around, getting in the way of charges, hunting down spellcasters, all of those sorts of things. I think there's another Tree Man in there at the end.
There is,
There's one
yeah.
more. Yeah. So he's got, it's so fabulous to see Wood Elves done totally differently to the multiple small units sort of flavor that you often see in competitive play. So I think Damien needs to be commended for bringing it along this time and giving it a go. I mean, I have no idea how they'll perform. They're strong, but they obviously have enough weaknesses that very few people pick them. I think it'll just be really fabulous to see this army on the field. I hope he does really well.
I must say the level 3 max across the board makes this play a little bit more viable. What I found in our warm-up tournament for this is that bound spells like Ruby Ring become a bit stronger because
Mhm.
the enemy's dispel is weaker. So the illusion great weapon level 2, hopefully gets spectral doppelganger and gets to swing 2d6 great weapon hits at something. Their strength 4 base, so it's strength 6 AP2, no joke. He's a bigger elf than me, that's for sure, because I haven't been able to bring myself to do it yet. But I hope he does well, because it'd be a victory for all wood elves across the land. David Spears, who is running Kingdom of Bratonia again. Alex, you want to run us through this? We've seen David a few times. He's mixed up his list a little bit though.
He has. Dave's my favorite person to stir up in the chat. In the WhatsApp group. Yeah, so look, credit to him. I think he's running a different list every time. Loving the Bretonians. Standard Duke coming in there. He's still got his, flying circus core, let's call it that. Strength in there. The Baron on the Pegasus in there with the Ogre Blade and Knightly Temper. We've seen these characters before. They've got high output. They're pretty scary by themselves. And with units, the Paladin BSB, which we'll get into, a level like a stock standard Damsel. With Illusion was interesting, probably just for the -1 to hit off the um,
Glittering Robe.
core spell. Yes, thank you for that. The Mounted Knights, standard block of infantry, men at arms. We won't even call it standard because we rarely see it, but we love it. Keep going down because the best part of this list is in the rare section, which is the 3 Grail Knights, which are there. I was expecting 5 or 6, but he's brought 3. Dave, I love it so much. It's in there. So clearly the BSB is going to be going in there as well, and the Damsel, which is just going to be rolling around as a 5-man unit with -1 to hit from Glittering Robe. Hopefully he can get it off. High combat resolution and just the ability to have flair, I would say. Grail
Is,
Knights.
is the BSB on a Pegasus or a Warhorse?
No, he's on a Bretonian Warhorse.
On a Warhorse. Okay. Yeah, no, that'll be a lot of fun. The one thing I will say, Dave, if you're watching, invest more in those Grail Knights, because testing Circle Knights, are equivalent, like maybe sort of 10 points less per model, but still, Inner Circle Knights is performing really well. It might be the time for the Grail Knights to come back.
What's their stat profile? I know that the issue is they're expensive with the 3-up save and 1 wound, but
so toughness 4. I'm pretty sure their weapon skill 5, if not a little bit more. They have the Blessing of the Lady built in, whether or not you kneel.
They're actually weapon skill 6.
They're weapon skill 6. There you go. They're just fun and strong and interesting. From a knight perspective, they're that sort of variation on a theme from those core knights. I think the key obviously is the 3+ save rather than a 2+ save, but at the same time, if you're tough 4 with a 3+ save, it's still very strong. I just think it's worth giving him a go.
Yeah. God bless David. Get an extra point on the Warhammer scale, that's for sure. And this one is the pride and joy of the tournament, because I don't think I've seen Skaven for about, I haven't seen them yet. Ezekiel, who usually helps out running these tournaments, has been given the day off, which is great to see. He's able to play. He's running Greyseer with Warpstone tokens, running Elementalism, Law Familiar, and 2 Obsidian Lodestones. Skaven Chieftain, Battle Standard Bearer with the Verminous Scurrying. Is that Swift Stride? Is that what you guys are doing?
That is Swift Stride, yep.
Swift Stride.
Yep.
And then Skaven Chieftain, Stock Standard, Engineer with D3 Warpstone tokens, Stock Standard, and then 20 Clanerites, 30 Storm Vermin, with the Banner of Superiority, which I also don't know what that does.
That's plus D3 combat resolution.
Yeah, right. So here's this block again. And then a whole bunch of poison shit. So Gutter Runners, Poison Wind Globadiers, and Warblock Jezzails, which are probably one of my all-time nostalgia pieces for sure. I think Alex had two of them, and I used to love them. They always died, but it was fun. But have either of you, I'll throw this to the board because I have no experience with Skaven. I love them thematically. I know that they don't perform well on full competitive scene, but what's your take?
I watched Zeke play this list on Saturday night, actually. And I mean, I said to him, I think he needs more rats. I don't think he has enough bodies, but that's besides the point.
Yeah.
Totally sarcastically. It's spectacularly terrifying having that big unit of storm vermin with so much combat res sort of romping down the board with Swift Stride. I think he's looking to cover a few of the failures of Skaven in this world of cavalry and fast moving units. But it's so good. It's tough. He's got massive magic defense on it. I think it's maybe the definition of the modern sort of character driven Death Star these days. It is. I mean, it's so fun to see Skaven back. It's so nice. And he's leaning into a lot of the things that Skaven have always historically done well, with big units capable of doing lots of damage and unexpectedly being able to hit you in ways that you really don't see coming. The gutter runners, my goodness, they can do work. They're expensive. 14 points. They're as expensive as elite elven missile units, but my goodness, can they do damage with those poison attack slings. And the Jezzails, I think they're maybe the sleeper unit in this particular list. It looks like they were doing a lot of work versus dwarves when I was watching the list. But the Jezzails, I believe it's their strength 5,
6,
strength 6,
strength 6, AP3.
Yeah, oh geez, like you want to kill some elite cavalry that are toughness 3 or 4. Bring in the Jezzails and the whole unit just falls and melts like butter. It's super fun.
The gutter runners have as many, if not more, special rules than your elves, Paddy.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It's like they've got everything you love: evasive, feint flight, fire and flee, move through cover, scouts, skirmish. Everything. That's before. That's their base. Special rules. By the way, the warpstone tokens are not even an upgrade you have to pay for. You get it, and it's plus C3 to your casting roll.
Yeah.
So that Grace here can effectively become a level 6 caster. A bit of luck, do you know what I mean? But a level 5 or 6 caster most of the time.
Yes.
Off elementalism. That's better than I've got as a Zeech caster. And he gets it free.
Does that mean this block, reading between the lines here, rather than be a teleport get out of the way block, it's a teleport in your face charge block with Swift Stride?
It is, because he put Earthen Ramparts up, and Travel Mystical Pathway right in your way, and you either go in on it and deal with 1, 2. I think he's the same. The Storm Vermin or Horde, so it's 2 ranks off them, plus their banner, plus Close Order, plus the BSB, plus the D3 from Superiority. You've got that much combat res just to get through before they're doing wounds to you or you're doing wounds to them. I mean, I feel like there's going to be a lot of things hitting it and then running away straight away before doing damage to it.
Props to Zeke, man. That looks like a lot of fun.
For sure.
We'll smash out another one before we get on to the next video. We'll split these up, of course, but we've got Chaos Dwarves. Jeff, longtime Oldhammer player. He ran this tournament, this list, I think the same list, to the warm-up event. Looks the same, and he performed well. He was best general overall, I believe, and went undefeated, I think. Hobgoblin Khan on a giant wolf, Infernal Seneschal as a battle standard bearer, Sorcerer Prophet, a Bull Centaur Torok, 24 Infernal Guard, 3 Bull Centaur Rendors, Iron Demon, and 5 Hobgoblin Wolf Riders. What this, from what I could at least see, I didn't play him, came down to is this block. And of course, an Iron Demon, that goes without saying, I think, with Chaos Dwarves. But this block, which is the trend we're seeing across the board, almost in every list, is, I think Chaos Alex put it as, it looks like a shooting unit, but it's really a combat unit. Oh, maybe it was my brother, but
No, I did say that.
yeah, it seems unkillable for a lot of
I
people.
I say it, Paddy, because I've actually played that
Yeah.
in both flavors now. I played this 24 Infernal Guard Fireglaive versus Jeff at the last Oldhammer. And then I played Paddy's version of this with blunderbusses last event, and both times, yeah, you sit there with a demonology sorcerer prophet, and you're just chilling. You're just chilling. You're like, yep, come at me. I've got a lot of static combat res. I'm handing out ward saves with Lamasu's beard. I've got magic resist all over the board. I'm buffing with demonology to become 2 attacks, extra AP, extra strength. So yeah, it absolutely is a combat unit hiding as a shooting unit. But the Iron Demon, it's there. I think the key difference is he's not gone for the artillery piece in the last time I played Jeff in this one. But one day I'm going to kill one of those things.
One day.
Thanks for watching that first episode, guys. That'll be one of 3 list analysis episodes we put out. There's a good 18 lists or so left. So if you weren't in that one, you'll be in the next 2. So far, really high standard, I reckon, and sets up for a really cool tournament. But yeah, stay tuned and we'll have the rest of the list for you in the coming days.